the moment language models allowed you to create your own custom code and allowed you to see it visibly, that was my inflection point, because then it was like, wow, like if you combine technical skill with mortgage, expertise, you can build a platform that really will resonate with the loan officer staff.
Welcome back to Good Better Broker as we bring in Mark Hossler. He's the president of Secure Choice Lending based in Riverside, California. Mark, great to have you here.
Thanks, Justin. I appreciate it.
Well, a bit about you for our audience. You started Secure Choice Lending back in 2017. You've been in the mortgage business now for, let's see here, 13 years? Is that about right?
15.
15,
yeah,
okay.
Right, yep.
All right, I sold you short a little bit. And at Secure Choice, Mark, you guys are approaching 200 total people on the team, and you are doing 200 million in volume per month. So lots of great things happening for you guys. And you said that you guys are different than the typical mortgage broker. So how are you guys different?
Yeah, so obviously there's so many varieties of the mortgage broker, right? You have the flat fee model, you have a bib structure model, you have so many different models, right? So we like to consider ourselves the hybrid, and hybrid was a very popular word, and a lot of people polarize their name as a hybrid. Like, we are truly hybrid, right? So we're about 200 loan officers, 300 total people, right? So of the 200 loan officers that have joined Secure Choice Lending, I would say about 195 have been from retail, right? So they're used to the retail experience. And that is what we try to deliver on. It is retail experience with wholesale pricing, wholesale comp. Because when you're recruiting retail, it becomes, honestly, fishing with dynamite when you do the interest rates, right? Or when you do comp or whatever it may be, right? But then being able to deliver on service is what makes us different. So we are truly everything in-house, right? In-house processing, in-house funding, in-house licensing, in-house accounting, in-house marketing, in-house tech, right? Everything is in-house operational efficiency, but obviously we want to deliver on the wholesale pricing and comp.
It's like going to a restaurant with a scratch kitchen, right? Everything is made in-house, everything,
Correct.
Every single ingredient.
Yes.
I like it. So another interesting thing that you were telling me is that you firmly believe that your company is the best place to be for a mortgage loan originator. Mm-hmm. Why do you feel that way?
Man, I would say simply because, very similar to what I just said, but I want to expand on it, right? So not only do we have operational efficiency where, we allow independence, but without isolation, right? So independent channel, your own brand, your own color schemes, everything, right? But a lot of people don't want to be responsible for the operations. They don't want to be responsible for the processing and the funding, and they want to make sure it's delivered on an excellent experience. So we're great at that, but obviously combine that with technology. We're a very young, aggressive, technology-aggressive company, so we believe massively in vertical integration. So a lot of technology is built in-house, which enables and empowers our loan officers to be able to, not have to have 50 different subscription models, and allows them more freedom. And we're going to continue to build that for them. We're going to continue to do everything we possibly can for them so that they can have more free time, with their families, with their friends, and all that. When
you first started Secure Choice, did you envision a scenario in which you guys would be building everything in-house?
No. 2017 was a different time, right? Artificial intelligence didn't exist. 2017, single person shop. Obviously, when we joined with our other co-founder, Joey Roque, we really didn't have a vision of the size that we are now. So no, I mean, safe to say, absolutely not.
Okay. All right. Well, things change, as you said, especially in this industry, which is, as you know, a high turnover industry. But you guys rarely lose people, Mark. How do you keep them happy? What is the approach there?
Yeah, I would say that's our number one success story. Of everything that we've accomplished, that is what I would always hold our hat on, right? When a loan officer joins Secure Choice, they typically don't leave. Of course, we've lost loan officers in the past, but majority seem happy, and that is our entire goal, right? It's a two-way street, right? We work for them, not the other way around, right? And I think just a lot of mortgage companies forget that. And I don't really quite understand. Maybe obviously the people, if you're providing leads, cool, you can have that control. But if you're providing, or if you're just only providing a platform, then it just needs to be more. You need to continuously improve the platform. You need to work for them. You need to be available for them 24/7. You need to continue to always improve. So that is where we thrive, right? And I think that's where most of our loan officers typically like it, is our leadership team, works so hard for them and works so hard to continue to make sure their loans close efficiently. So I would say that's probably it.
How much of that mentality do you think comes from the fact that you yourself still originate?
A good amount, right? Obviously, we're a company built by loan originators, right? Our vice president's also, he's our number one producer at our company, has been for 5 years, right? So obviously, when you're in the trenches with them and you're understanding that, and again, we're a heavy purchase-centric company, right? So being in the trenches, understanding the relationships that have to, with your real estate partners, delivering times, delivering contingency periods, right? It is so important. I try to scale back my production over the course of the past year because I'm trying to give as much time as I can to the team, both whether it's operations and or sales, right? So we're trying to scale it back a little bit, but I think understanding what is going on, and also when you're doing the loan, you can figure out where the inefficiencies are, right? I'm never going to ask a loan officer, if a loan officer is going to provide poor feedback, like, hey, your team didn't deliver on this, and I can't speak to what they're saying, then it's a failure on my end, right? I don't know what's going on, then it's just poor management skill. So I would say doing loans helps us communicate with our loan officer staff incredibly well.
You were talking a couple of minutes ago about the structure that you guys have, and another thing that you were saying before the interview is that your biggest competition right now is the flat fee model, and a lot of brokerages have gone this direction, it seems, over the last couple of years. How do you guys look to combat that?
Basically, it stems from what I said earlier, right? Independence without isolation. So the flat fee model, right? Good, strong model, nothing wrong with that model, right? But it is more isolated, right? Cool. That's the sales pitch, right? You recruit retail, look at the pricing, look at the comp, this is fee, all that's going back to you. It's such an easy sales pitch, right? But then retail misses the efficiency, the operations, the in-house deliveries, right? So we try to say, hey, look, we're going to be a little more expensive, but it's going to be for X, Y, and Z reasons. And then once they're here, they can see those reasons, right? And they believe, and again, that's where it stems from the whole, we try not to lose anyone on our loan officer staff because we work so hard for them. So the competition is obviously more from the price perspective, but yeah, I would truly believe personally is when you don't have control of the operations, which is a lot of flat fee, it's going to be more chaotic. And we don't want chaotic. Loans are hard enough, and you're working with so many different avenues, so we want to control it a little bit more, and as we control it, it allows for less chaos, more streamlined process, a little bit smoother closings, and that's where we believe we deliver. That's
really going to put the onus on you and Joey and the other members of your leadership team to convince potential LOs that it is going to be better. You just got to trust me, even though, like you said, it is going to be a little more expensive.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's that's what you're saying. The initial recruiting call can sometimes be a little more difficult because it's that, but you just have to have the demonstration, you have to have the tech available, you have to show them, and then again, the best thing we can show them is just like call anyone. Anyone can call any one of our 200 loan officers. It's a very savage industry. Loan officers are recruited with tech these days. They're getting mass text message blasts every single day. And you have to have the confidence that you're delivering an experience and you're delivering an operations for them that makes them happy, and that's why they won't leave. And that's our call any one of our 200 loan officers, and hopefully they would deliver that message to them.
You have talked a couple of times in this conversation already about operations and more specifically operational efficiency. So for those that may not be familiar with exactly what that looks like for you guys, kind of paint the picture for us, Mark. What does it really look like at Secure Choice?
Yeah, so we have a submission, and it goes to disclosure team. We have a dedicated team that's just dedicated to disclosures. We have a dedicated appraisal team. We have a dedicated insurance team. We have a dedicated senior processing team, a dedicated funding team, a dedicated accounting team. So every single department gets a dedicated dedicated team members, and it just allows the loans to move very well. It's an assembly line, right? So obviously we're going to learn that from you. You guys are an assembly line, UWM. So the assembly line model is a very difficult model, right? You have to get to a certain level because if you're only doing, 15, 17 loans, it's very hard to have an assembly line. So it took multiple years to get to this scale. And then once you get to this scale, you can build out all those departments. And as you build out all those departments, then they can continue to improve on a month-over-month basis. And that's how it's like multiple teams that work together. That is how we thrive.
And how do you describe the way that technology, number one, and number two, AI, has impacted your growth from that standpoint to make everything so streamlined and efficient?
Yeah, so Technology is the key to life. I mean, I guess we can talk about it again right now, right? UWM is a tech company, mortgage tech company, right? So you learn that from you, right? So being able to deliver on tech, all it does is it allows you to improve your efficiency. It allows you to mitigate repetitive tasks, right? That is what AI is, right? So a lot of people always wonder, like, oh, is AI going to take my job? Is AI going to do this? Right? No, AI is solely built to remove repetitive tasks. It is not there to replace relationships, right? So that is what we do. We build a lot of our own tech stack so that our processors and our funding team and all that, they can deliver and they can execute at a much quicker pace. And then obviously it leads to smoother closings. And then obviously from our sales staff, it allows them to, be able to have a larger outreach with all of our just in-house tech.
It's interesting just to hear you talk about, AI, and obviously such a huge topic in the industry and in, I guess, everywhere right now in society in general. Can you recall the time or an inflection point where you and the leadership team decided that we need to really lean heavily into this to help us scale the way we want to? And I know it's all kind of come about in the last few years, really, where it's accelerated.
Yeah.
I was just curious if there was a time or something that was going on or something that you discovered in your own research that led you to the point where you said, I really think we can take advantage of this to help us grow.
Yeah, so I do actually remember at the time, right? So we've been using AI for multiple years now, right? But definitely an inflection point. And the inflection point was when AI became so useful and scalable to build your own platforms, right? Obviously, most people use AI just simply for the conversation, right? Hey, rewrite my email or ask a general question that maybe Google will pull up for ads. Instead, you're just gonna get a direct answer, right? That's what language models are. But the moment language models allowed you to create your own custom code and allowed you to see it visibly, that was my inflection point, because then it was like, wow, like if you combine technical skill with mortgage, expertise, you can build a platform that really will resonate with the loan officer staff.
You realize everything you just said made you sound like a tech guy.
I love it.
Are you a tech guy? Do you consider yourself to be one?
Absolutely.
I mean, you kind of have to be, right?
Yes.
As a business owner in this industry right now?
Yes. If you aren't, so there's variations, right? So if you aren't at your exact moment building your own tech stack at your own company and you're renting the tech stack, you will not last over the next 5 to 7 years. It's just not gonna happen, right? But don't get me wrong, it's not a saying that people shouldn't hear that of, oh, I need to do it immediately, because when they do it immediately, you're going to remove all the guardrails, you're not going to do it appropriately, you're not going to be safe, right? So you have to be willing to spend the time in the tech, but you also have to be willing to spend the money and have the appropriate team members to help make sure you're implementing a very safe and secure software.
No, I think it's a really great point. It's a wake-up call to people that haven't at least dug into this a little bit yet. But like you said, it has to be on your terms. The timing has to be right. You can't just go and decide one day, I'm going to build my own tech stack without really thinking about the impact, both short and long term.
Yeah.
So I think you explained that really well. The investment that you guys have made in technology, in AI, it's a sizable one. And not all of it is geared towards what's happening right now.
Yeah.
What does that say about the way that you guys view future growth?
Oh man, it's a great question. And it's hard to answer in words. It's more like demonstration. I guess I don't want to repeat the same answer.
I understand, but maybe I'll tee you up for it this way. Something that you mentioned earlier, vertical integration. How does the investment that you're making with technology help with that vertical integration?
Yeah, so in mortgage, there's so many different vendors, right? And so many different systems. And don't get me wrong, all of these vendors are amazing, right? But to have them communicate to one another can be an incredibly difficult task. So by building the tech stack vertically and you controlling every aspect of the tech, it allows them to communicate in a very efficient way, and it allows them to be in one centralized system, right? It's one of the things of being in the broker channel of, I have to log into this software and this software and this software. It can become very difficult, right? So as the world continues to evolve, it's going to evolve in a way where everything is going to move towards more like voice command, where you'll literally just hop on. And it's already moving that way. But again, in mortgage, There's a lot of security layers. You shouldn't be having your coworker or anything like Claude, right? You shouldn't be having them log into your LOSs. I'm sure there's loan officers in this world that do that, right? So you have to be able to build it yourself so that you know you have the protective role. So once you do that, and that vertical integration will allow all the systems to communicate together and move to a very effective system that will make your loan officer staff just very happy.
For the layperson, and this might be a bad analogy, you can tell me, you can be honest with me, but what you were just saying kind of made me think of, if you're logging into your bank account and you're trying to use credit card points to book a flight, and maybe the airline you want to use isn't affiliated with your bank.
Yeah.
So then you have to figure out how to get those points somehow over to your airline of choice. That's annoying, right?
100%.
All the different logins we have for different sites that we subscribe to, that's annoying. What you're saying is you're taking all of that away within the context of what a loan originator has to do on a daily basis.
A fantastic analogy.
I tried. I was literally just coming up with that on the fly. But no, it's like, I think people get scared, right, by when you talk about things like AI and some of the terms that go along with it. But I think when you contextualize it in a way that makes it a little bit easier to digest, like in essence what you're saying, Mark, is that we're just making your job easier.
Correct.
We're making it easier for you to do what you have to do with all of the tools that you need.
Yeah, 100%. And I think scared's a good word, but then like nervous and or they feel like they have a lack of confidence. And it's because, what do they have to do? They have to log into another system to use these AI skills. So you're so used to these systems, right? You're so used to Google. And then it's like, well, now you have to log into this and you have to use this system. And then this system must tie to this one. If you remove that friction and you put it in your centralized system, then it doesn't become as fearful. Like, oh, hey, it's just part of the natural layer of our operating system. And that's where it eliminates some of that friction and eliminates the fear of it.
I'm curious, have you guys pulled any data or metrics on time saved by this vertical integration? Like how much time your loan officers are actually saving by having everything there in one place in one system?
No time, dollars. It's more dollars. It's more like, again, how many subscriptions do you have, and then how many subscriptions do you not have to have is what we're more leaning towards right now. Time would be more like over the next 12 to 18 months as we continue to build some more infrastructure.
Yeah, so in a sense, this is still very much ground level, what you guys are building, it seems. You have visions of doing things much, much bigger on a grander scale.
100%, yep.
I mean, it's super cool stuff. It really is. And, when you think about proprietary tech, I mean, that's something that, like you said, that we do here.
Correct.
And it's kind of how we've taken off over these last several years and become what we are. You guys are kind of building your own version of that. Because you were telling me, you've got your own version of HomeBot, CRM, Total Expert. You've got a studio. You've kind of got everything. I mean, are you constantly monitoring the industry to see what else you can bring into that ecosystem?
If you're not, you have to be, right? I mean, there's... no one likes to be a copycat, and that's one thing we definitely don't do. We try not to be, right? But in today's world, right, it's impossible to really have an opinion that won't be copied, right? Like we'll say it today, like people can have our model. You can take our model. We'll give it to you. The question is, can you execute on it, right? So it's like the same thing. Like you see a code or you see some type of platform that's released. And you're like, oh, that's awesome. I would love to have it. We'll build it. And the question is, can you build it? Can you execute it? Can you make sure that it is user-friendly, right? And that's a very difficult task, and that's what we try to do is we try to make sure it is user-friendly and there's a clean UI so that our loan officers and our sales staff want to use it.
Okay, I got a good question for you. I'm going to throw this at you. This is just kind of spontaneous, but bear with me here. Moving forward, as a broker owner, would you rather be somebody who's good at mortgages who can also code, or somebody who's a good coder who also does mortgages?
Oh, good at mortgages who can also code. 100%. Mortgages is a animal. Mainly, I would say that because the number one use case I would say that shocked everyone with AI is the AI's ability to code. And again, that hasn't replaced the software engineer. Software engineers have went up by like 3x over the course of the last year, so it's a very high demand. But to understand the intricacies of mortgage, whether you got APRs or flipping between the county loan limits, there's so much in mortgage that cool, you can say, hey, go develop this. It's just not going to develop it unless you truly have a expertise level of mortgage.
Okay, I got you. No, it makes sense. And it is such a unique industry, and you have to have that knowledge because, at the end of the day, you're helping somebody with the biggest purchase of their life. Take all the technology away, and that's still what it is, and it's always going to be that.
Yep.
So I hear you on that. To wrap things up, I want to get a couple messages from you. First, I want to get your message, and you kind of talked about this earlier, to other broker owners out there about if they have not yet embraced AI in their tech stack and in the way that they are running their operations, why they should do that.
Think of AI, right? It's difficult to imagine, right? It just depends how long you've been in the business, right? That, cool, well, people were afraid of Google, or people were afraid of the internet, or people were afraid of this, right? So there's moments that people are afraid of this, right? You can't be afraid of it. You just can't. You have to put in the time. You have to put in the work, right? You also just can't rely on a developer to be able to build it. You have to physically put in the time, the effort. So it's just like, if you're not, and you're going to continue to rely on others, you're going to continue to rent your business. And if you rent your business, eventually that will be taken. I guess it's tied into mortgage.
I like that. Yeah.
You're renting your home. We're trying to get people to buy homes.
I think we just came up with a good marketing slogan right there.
I think we did.
Yeah.
Figure out how do we tie that in.
Renting your business, renting a home. Neither of them are going to be good for you in the long run.
Yeah.
Okay. And then secondly, and not that we're using this as a recruiting pitch for Secure Choice. We already know what you believe about your company. But for LOs out there, whether they are in retail right now, or if there's somebody who's looking to break into the business, somebody in wholesale who is maybe not happy with their current situation, what should they look for when they are looking at different companies and want to make sure they're at a place that is forward-facing when it comes to tech?
You should, well, first and foremost, spend the time, do the Zoom call, do the initiation calls with those mortgage companies so you can see, like, people will say they have in-house tech or in-house this, right? Until you actually spend the time, you're not actually going to know. And yeah, I don't know, like, it's... Yeah, spend the time, spend the effort.
Do your due diligence.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, it is. I mean, look, I think one of the coolest things about the business, I've said this before on this podcast, is that there's so many different ways that people go about it. Every company's a little bit different, and I think that's one of the best things about it. You can literally go anywhere, and it's just not quite the same, and that's a great thing.
And like I said, we're an open book. Give us a call.
Yeah.
We will tell you what we've built. We will show you what we've built. We will say, feel free. We'll give you our rates, like everything. We're open book. We are completely transparent. Transparency is a buzzword in this industry.
It is.
And there's probably 50% that is truly transparent, and there's 50% that probably isn't, that will disguise, right? We are truly transparent. You can call any one of our loan officers and talk with them. We are not going to disguise anything, and we're not going to disguise our future. We're not going to disguise what we're building. We're very open with that.
Well, it's really cool just to hear about everything that you guys have already done. And like I was saying a few minutes ago, it seems like this is just still ground floor stuff, that you've got so much ahead of you. So thanks for sharing all this with our audience. This was great. Mark Hossler with Secure Choice Lending. Appreciate you being here.
Thanks, Justin.
Thank you for watching Good Better Broker and helping us support independent mortgage brokers everywhere. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to be notified about new videos, as well as your preferred podcast platform for a new episode every other Tuesday.